Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our County Council meeting of March the 4th, 2026. Our warden and CAO are in Washington this morning, so you have me chairing the meeting. I'll now call our meeting to order, and I will call for the roll. We will start with our Mayor of Asheville Norwood, Pat Wilford.
Here.
And our Deputy Mayor, Lori Burt. I'm here. Thank you. Online, we have the Mayor of Cavan, Monaghan, Matthew Graham.
Present.
Thank you. And with us, we have the Deputy Mayor, Ryan Huntley.
Good morning.
Morning. And Duro Dummer, the Mayor, Heather Watson. Good morning. Thank you. And the Deputy Mayor.
Good morning.
Harold Nelson. Morning. From Havelock Belmont Methuen, we have our Mayor Jim Martin.
Present.
And the Deputy Mayor Hart Webb.
Present.
Thank you. Online from North Kawartha, we have our Mayor Carolyn Amiot.
Good morning.
Morning. And our Deputy Mayor Jim Whalen.
Here.
From Otonabee South Monaghan, we have Mayor Joe Taylor.
I am here with a definite spring in my step this morning.
Glad to hear it. And from Selwyn, we have myself, the Mayor Sherry Senes, and we have the Deputy Mayor Ron Black.
I'm present. Thank you.
From Trent Lakes, we have the Mayor Terry Lambshead and the Deputy Mayor Carol Armstrong. Present. Thank you very much. We'll now have our land acknowledgement.
With deep respect, we acknowledge the lands and interconnected waterways that bind us together, the foundation for all life. These lands serve as a keeper of history and stories and are a source of inspiration. In recognizing this, we embrace that all living things possess an important energy and purpose. We extend the utmost gratitude to the original peoples who have been caretakers of these lands and waters of this region from time immemorial, and to this day who continue this commitment. Peterborough County's dedication to reconciliation remains steadfast. In this spirit, we are committed to nurturing meaningful partnerships and connections that contribute to an environment of prosperity and well-being for all generations to come. This acknowledgement is made on the Treaty 20 land and the territory of the Mississauga and Anishinaabe, and within the traditional lands of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaty First Nations. Further, our gratitude is extended to the nations of Alderville, Beausoleil, Curve Lake, Georgina Island, Hiawatha, Rama, and Scugog Island.
We will now have a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. We have the agenda before us, and I'm looking for someone to move that agenda. Yes, Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
I would like to amend the agenda this morning to add a second reason for closed session, and that would be 2D, labor relations.
All right, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the amended agenda that be adopted as circulated. Moved by Councillor Lambshead, seconded by Councillor Burt. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you very much. Does any councillor have a disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? If so, please let it be known now or at the time that we speak. We have the minutes of the regular council meeting of February the 18th, 2026, and I'm looking for them to be adopted as circulated. Moved by Councillor Wilford, seconded by Councillor Martin. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Our first delegation this morning is MPP David Smith. Please come to the podium. Morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Deputy Warden. I appreciate that. But I will correct you. I'm MPP Dave Smith from Peterborough Kawartha. MPP David Smith is Scarborough Centre.
I was too formal. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So I'm here in March, and the reason I came in March this year is last time when I came in spring, it was April 1st, and I made an April Fool's joke that I hooked the mayor of Otonabee Seth Monaghan in wholeheartedly when I was talking about the Asan Motor Company and being gung-ho. And so I thought, rather than come in April and make an April Fool's joke, I would come a little bit earlier. And part of the reason I'm here earlier actually is because our budget will be coming out by the end of the month. I can't give you the date yet; it has not been announced. But I will say that if our budget is not presented by March 31st, our Minister of Finance, Peter Bethlenfalvy, personally pays a $10,000 fine. And for those of you who know Peter, Premier Ford has aptly said that he is tighter than the skin on a grape. And that is true. Peter does not want to waste any money, so I cannot imagine him wanting to give up $10,000 himself. So I think it's safe to say that the budget will be presented by March 31st. If you look at the legislative calendar, you can probably figure out when it would come out, but the dates have not been announced yet. Part of the reason for being here is that I would like to hear any feedback from councils on what you want to see in the budget, and happy to answer any questions I might be able to answer with respect to the process of the budget, but I can't give you any firm information on what is in the budget. I've had other councils that I've been to where they have asked why and they want more details. And the reality is the budget for the province of Ontario has a massive effect on the markets, and the TSX actually will have adjustments based on what we put in the budget. And if things come out of the budget that have the potential of affecting the market, it has a negative effect on Ontario itself. So legislatively, we're not permitted to talk about certain items in the budget until the budget is actually released. But I am coming bearing some good news. Now, we're in March, but I'm Santa Claus today for some of you. And I'm going to be talking about some things that you guys don't know is coming your way yet. I represent 5 of the townships in the county of Peterborough, so I apologize right now to the 3 townships that are not part of my riding, because for Norwood Asphodel, for Otonabee Seth Monaghan, and for Cavan Monaghan, I can't speak about certain things. You'll have to talk to your MPPs about it. But if we recall back to a year ago, it was a year ago in March, we had an ice storm come through. And Premier Ford made a commitment that he was going to look after all of those communities that were hit by the ice storm. So Peterborough County itself will receive $676,000 to offset some of the ice storm expenses. And I'll start with the smallest amount and build to the greatest amounts. North Kawartha, you must not have been hit quite as hard as others. Your funding that you'll be receiving is $49,000. Havelock Belmont Methuen, which is just south of it, and I'm sure Jacks Lake is going to object to this, but you share Jacks Lake. Havelock Belmont Methuen will receive $79,000. Durrow Dummer, $301,000 in expenses that'll be covered. Selwyn, $376,000 in expenses. And Mayor Lambshead, I will accept the thank you right now for it.
Thank you very much, MPP Dave Smith.
$503,000. Now, I want to emphasize that this is actually a reimbursement of expenses. So when you see the amount of money and look at who received a lot, it's because those townships received a significant amount of damage and had a lot of work that had to be done to bring it back up. And when we look back at it, the number of homes that were without power for a significant period of time is very high. I myself was without power for 8 days. And I know that there were a number of others who it was much longer than that. When we look at some of the properties on islands in the lakes around our area, some of them were more than a month before they were able to get their power back. It was a devastating storm for us, but we recognized that there was a lot of expenses that came out for everyone. There were a lot of challenges for everyone, and we were trying very hard to make sure that we're making all of your municipalities whole on what those expenses were. And that really is the extent of what I wanted to talk about today. I really want to just open it up and give you the opportunity to ask me any questions. And yes, although I don't represent Norwood, Asphodel, Tondu South Monaghan, and Cavan Monaghan, I'm still happy to take questions from you guys as well, and I'll answer to the best of my ability on that.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for MPP Dave Smith? Sorry. Councillor Watson.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, MPP Smith, thank you very much. Great to see you in the chambers today. I had the opportunity to have a bit of a conversation with you about this. I understand that very recently you were able to get a private members bill passed as it relates to MPPs being able to perform ceremonial weddings. Yes. This is something that I shared with you that our municipality offers as a service to our residents. And it's a bit of a revenue for us, although it's not a big moneymaker, but it is certainly revenue. And our residents have been able to take advantage of the service in the last year or so. You had committed to me that you wouldn't be doing any of those services within township facilities and parks and our properties. I'm just wondering if you would be willing to and able to make a similar commitment for the municipalities within your riding that are sitting at the table today.
So the legislation you're talking about was an act to amend the Marriage Act. And what it did is it gave MPPs the option to opt in to perform marriages as an officiant. And what we were finding, part of the impetus behind it was, what we were finding was that not every municipality was offering this as a service, and there was difficulty for some people in some areas of Ontario to be able to have a wedding performed someplace other than a church. And we wanted to make sure that anyone who wanted to get married had the option of getting married. For me personally, I will be offering this as a service, but I want to make sure that I'm doing it in a way that doesn't take away from anyone else. So my commitment to Ontario, because I'm not restricted to just my own region, if I were to perform a wedding someplace else, I wouldn't be doing it at a municipal facility, and I wouldn't be doing it at a religious facility. And I'll use my own as a perfect example. When I got married the second time, my wife and I got married on the Island Princess as the boat was going up Lock 21. What is a more reputable way to get married than get married on the actual hydraulic lift lock? We struggled to find an officiant for it. Those who were ministers didn't want to do it outside of the church. And none of the municipalities that we approached would have their clerk, who typically does the services, or a clerk designate. They weren't prepared to do it outside of the municipal hall. So we struggled in finding someone to actually do it. And I think this gives me an opportunity then to fill that gap. Most people who are going to have it done by a city clerk or a municipal clerk are going to go to City Hall to have it done. Not every municipality offers the service where the clerk would go someplace else. So I would be respectful of that. I wouldn't be doing something that would be impeding what you already do. It would just be for those individuals who want a religious or a non-religious ceremony at a location that is not a municipal location or a religious location. And I would be filling the gap on something like that.
Thank you for that, MPP, and congratulations on getting, I believe, your third
one. Yep.
private members bill through.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you. Through you, Dave, thank you very much on behalf of Havelock Belmont Methuen. The $79,000, as you know, is big for a smaller municipality like ours to recoup some of the losses. And if you want to play Santa Claus once a month, I keep telling you, come to Havelock, bring us the money and we're good with that.
6 million to you just earlier this week. I'm sure you do like it. I show up.
Councillor Black.
Thank you to Cliff Warden. Again, on behalf of Sutherland Township, I want to thank you for the 376,000. We were considerably more than that, but we greatly appreciate. We were devastated with the storm and had hydro out for many, many days. With respect to the budget, I think everybody's noticed that there are many holes in the ground right now being put there for development, housing, those sorts of things. You know, the province has talked a lot about trying to help municipalities around development charges. I know, even though I'm a not-for-profit, my housing development charges would have been almost $300,000 to put up the Abbeyfield house. Fortunately, provincially, we don't pay it's legislation. So building permits are expensive. You know, getting capital for developers to put holes in the ground is being challenged. And there's not a lot of activity right now. So what are the things that are being considered in the budget? I know you can't say what's going to be in the budget. What is the province considering to try and get housing and development moving in the spring? It's an important time of year, and the budget will be timely in determining whether we get holes in the ground this summer or not.
So there's a number of challenges on it. When you look at the statistics, and it is a province-wide statistic, it'll vary from municipality to municipality, but about 36% of the cost of a new home is government taxes and fees. And when you take a look at that, the average home right now in the city of Peterborough, as of about 2 weeks ago, was just over $600,000. The average home price in the county of Peterborough was actually $100,000 more. It was about $714,000. When you look at that then, and you extrapolate that into a new build, we're talking about $200,000 in government fees and taxes when you want to look at building a home. That makes it very difficult for it to be affordable. You have to be looking at how you're going to put multiple units together then onto a piece of property. And the reality is that the average person today in areas like ours don't want to live in large condominium projects. Our area in particular is one where there is a significant desire to have single-family homes or single-family homes with an accessory suite. There isn't as big of a desire to have the 25 to 50-story condominium complex. I think Peterborough City would be the only one that could actually handle having a 25-story complex. I don't think any of your townships could. So when we look at that, how do we then adjust those fees? How do we make changes to it so that it does become less expensive for it? But you also have to balance the needs of the municipality in terms of the infrastructure that they have to put in. The development charges, the concept behind it is development pays for development. It has had scope creep at a number of municipalities over the years, and they've used it as ways that they can increase funding in one area where they may see a funding shortfall someplace else. We've got to get away from that. We have to bring all of those things back to what should it be funding and how should the municipality be using their funding in the most appropriate way. And I'll give an example. There are people who will be quite upset with me for saying this. Should a municipality be putting a climate change lens on everything that they do? Can the municipality affect climate change? And I think, no, the municipality can't. So is it something that they're signaling if they're doing it? Are they virtue signaling, just as an example? And when we look at some of the larger municipalities, those types of things do happen. Should you ignore climate change? Absolutely not. But should that be the deciding factor on how the municipality uses its funds? And there are things that we can do at the provincial government then to make adjustments on it. And I think in a lot of cases, and I'm speaking province-wide, not this region. In a lot of cases, there are decisions that are made that really are outside of the scope of the, and we need to bring everybody back to what is the scope of the municipality and deal with those issues first and foremost. The example I'll give, or the expression I'll give, is that you look after the needs first and the wants second. And unfortunately, there are others much larger than yours who are looking at the wants first and the needs second. And we have to have an adjustment on that. We also recognize that if there's going to be a reduction in development charges, bringing them down to a level that they're not creating undue hardship for something to be developed, we as the province have to step forward. And you'll see that, you have seen that with the housing enabling infrastructure funds and the housing safety or the water safety funds that we have. Just in the last 2 weeks, 3 municipalities in my region have received a total of about $16 million to cover some of those costs. So we are doing some of those things. And I think that as the budget starts to roll out, there'll be other programs that are in there that will be used to make some adjustments to things so that we can reduce the overall cost of building something new in ways that make a lot of sense. We have to get from having 36% of the cost of a new home being government fees and licensing and taxes to a much lower number. We did announce that for first-time home buyers, the HST portion of a new build will be credited back to them. That's a 13% reduction. So again, if we take a look at something in the county at $700,000, we can knock off about 90,000 of that just in the HST for a first-time home buyer on a new home. And it'll be things like that that you'll see coming through the budget.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Nelson.
Well, through the chair, Dave, thanks very much. I want to echo what my colleagues have said and thanks on behalf of Doyle Dummer for the devastation that we received. And I know the premium was in our municipality, actually at the county, I believe, looking at the big pile of brush that was there. And anyway, so thanks for that. I know it's definitely going to help our pot out for all that work that we had to do to clear up this. So thank you very much for that.
You're very welcome.
Councillor Lambshead.
Thank you. And I must say the same. Thank you very kindly for the 503,000 and the province for getting that. That's great. I mean, I think there were some small changes made to the program that reduced the percentage that we had to spend before we could get money. So that really helped families. And we're still early. We aren't finished. We're nowhere near finished. But thank you very much for the 503,000. And we're in line with the budget that was thinking we as a municipality, I know that the county is the same. We have many aging infrastructure buildings that we're going to need help with when we've started on a very robust infrastructure rebuild, because we have 3 or 4 buildings that were downloaded to us from the province, and they're all at end of life. And really, we weren't ready for that. So we're rebuilding buildings that were $3 or $4 million 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or now $10 or $12 million. So we're just wondering if something can be put in the budget for that sort of rebuild.
I'm not in a position where I can give specifics on a program. I can only talk in generalities. We recognize that there is aging infrastructure across the province on it. I will touch on a couple in particular that we've done in the past. We had 400 million for recreational facilities. Predominantly those were municipalities. There were a couple of new projects in this region that did receive some funding for that or from that. And there were a couple that received funding to upgrade some of the existing facilities. Selwyn and Doyle Dummer in particular received money to upgrade the ice plants in their arenas. Those arenas were 40 plus years old, and the physical plant of the building is still in good shape, but the ice plant itself was at the end of its life. Those were programs that we have done in the past for it. And I think that when you look at the past, it's always a good indication of what the future may have. I can't say specifically that there will be a sports infrastructure funding, but because there was one that municipalities had the ability to apply to, I think you could probably make an inference that over the next couple of years, there will be additional programs to help out with some of the other infrastructure aside from just roads and water.
I don't see any other questions, so I just have one question for you. A meeting wouldn't be complete with you without my asking it. And I understand that it does tie in somewhat to the budget, so I wonder if you can give us an update on our official plan.
My understanding is that the official plan has come back to the county, and there's some work that needs to be done by a couple of municipalities in the county to update a few questions that the ministry had. And as of 8:30 this morning, when I asked, because I figured that was going to come up, they haven't received a response back from everyone yet.
So are we expecting an answer after the budget?
I think it would be safe to say that until those questions have been clarified, an answer can't be given.
All right. We wait with bated breath. We do really appreciate all the advocating that you do for us, Dave. And if there are no other questions, I'd like a motion to receive his presentation. Moved by Councillor Hart, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. We have another delegation, Mr. Peter Leahy, if you'd like to come to the podium. And I'd like you to know that we have a 10-minute maximum total for your presentation. So if you get to 9 minutes, you will be given a 1-minute warning that your time is almost up.
That's fair.
Thank you and welcome.
Okay, thanks everyone for having me. I'm Peter Leahy. I live in Duro-Dummer. I live on Highway 28. And I actually have land right by the county buildings, so you kind of know where I am. I can't give you people money today, so you're just going to have to put up with my talk. I'm here to talk about Phragmites. Now, I know you are all pretty educated in it, but we all can learn more, of course, including myself. The definition of an expert is somebody who's 25 miles from home. We drove in today and went around the block a couple times. We couldn't get to 25. So what I'm asking you is consider me a peer, a colleague, a farmer, somebody who has a well and is concerned about Phragmites. So when we have a problem, I find it helpful to ask the 5 W's. So the who is, the Kawartha Land Trust came to Duro and gave us a presentation in November. They came to you in October. I watched it. So Kawartha Land Trust, you all know who they are. That's the who. The what? They're trying to get a grant from the MNR to spray Phragmites. When is right now. This is going on in 2026, so we have to be ready for this. Where they're approaching, they came to Duro, they came to you, they'll be going to Orca. Any tax-based group, that's who they're approaching. Now, the why is the important part. So why is a private land trust getting into the spraying business? They're going to get a grant to do it. Now, do they have expertise in this? Maybe. But when they gave the presentation to us, the first question that came from Harold. You all know him. And he said, what are you going to spray? And the presenter said glyphosate. That's not how you say it. It's glyphosate, and that's Roundup. So that's not an answer that I can accept from a professional. For me, that was strike one. Then the presenter went on and he talked about what they're going to charge. Now, a custom rate for chemical application in Peterborough County would be $20 an acre. And with chemical, let's say it's $80 an acre. They're charging $1,200 an acre. For me, that was strike two. I know it's different in a small application, but we need to follow the money. So the presentation went on, and one of the counselors, Ray, I bet you all know him, asked, will this work, or are you just going to spray it and it's going to come right back? The answer the presenter gave reminded me of a course I took 30 years ago. It was a sales course, and the guy said, if anybody ever asks you a question that you don't want to answer, you answer it with a question. So I got to give him credit. His answer to Ray was, will it work? Well, it depends. He said, have you ever sprayed herbicide? So for me, that was strike three. Now, you might be sitting out there right now saying, does this guy know about spraying? I do know a little bit. I'm not an expert. I used to work in a grain elevator. We did seed, fertilizer, chemical, custom application. If you listen to anything I say today, here's what I want you to remember. Phragmites grows in water. Now we're talking about spraying chemicals, specifically Roundup, into our water. I hope we can agree that this is a bad idea. I don't know the correct way to control Phragmites. There's lots of ways. Is it financially responsible? I don't know. What I do know is that I don't want to be the one with Roundup in my well, and you don't want to be the ones that are responsible for it. So, story. It's been rattling around in my head for 40 years. I told you I used to work. When I finished school, I went to work in Chatham. It's Kent County, cash crop country. At the end of one of our growing seasons, one of the farmers had some chemical left over. So what do you do with it? You're not supposed to let it freeze. And that was back when 2,4-D came in a tin can. I bet you some of you remember that. So what did he do? He couldn't put it in the house. He had no heated storage. He tied a rope to it, put it down into his well, above the water line, below the frost line. Now, before everybody is aghast at that, that was pretty irresponsible. That's true. That was his own well. That was pretty stupid. If we start spraying any chemicals to our wetlands, that's worse. I don't know how to say it nicely, so I want you to consider that when you're making, I don't know what your decision on the land trust proposal is. I commend Doyle because they've turned it down. So I'm happy about that. I'm not happy that Peterborough County comes and sprays right across the road from me. They sprayed the Phragmites last fall, and I watched as your girl said, I'm looking forward to seeing if it's dead in the spring. Well, it better be dead in the spring or you didn't do it right. And I wish you weren't spraying into our swamps. I would welcome any questions if you have any, but I cannot promise you any money.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Deputy Warden Santos. Thank you, Peter, for the presentation. And my understanding from the brief letter that you submitted as part of your delegation was your concern with spraying herbicides in wetlands. So I'd like to focus on that, nothing to do with Kawartha Land Trust.
Right.
Peter Leahy, you're a certified organic farmer.
That's right.
I would expect that you have more knowledge of and concern with herbicides than I probably do. However, I doubt that you have more environmental concerns than I do. Okay, I think we're likely parallel on that. I'm going to use the term Roundup simply because that's the one that we all recognize, but the active ingredient in Roundup is glyphosate, the same as the other products that the county is using. So let's just say for argument's sake, we're spraying Roundup because we can all identify with that. Roundup is a contact spray. It's not a residual spray, and it doesn't discriminate. It just kills everything. It's good. It really works. The county of Peterborough came to the road I live on last summer. There was a big patch of poison ivy along the township road allowance beside a neighbor's house that had two little children. She was quite concerned. So the township contacted the county. They come up, they sprayed that patch of poison ivy, I assume with Roundup, but I don't know. And it really worked. And that was, and I supported it. I thought it was the right thing to do. It was on the side of a hill. There was no water nearby. It was good. But I agree with you. I do not think that the county of Peterborough should be spraying Roundup or any other herbicide or pesticide in environmentally protected areas. We have the Planning Act has controls over what can happen near PSWs or EP zones. We don't allow development of any kind within 30 meters of a provincially significant wetland. And if you want to do development within 30 meters of an EP zone, it requires an environmental impact study. And I just wonder what an environmental impact study might say about spraying Roundup into an environmentally protected zone. In doing some research about this, and it was interesting because I learned that there are more than one kind of Phragmites. There's actually a couple of native kinds of Phragmites that are part of our naturally occurring healthy wetlands. And they can be identified from the invasive kind if you know what to look for. Our staff do know that. So they do not spray I'm going to call it the natural Phragmites. They target the invasive kind. But there's going to be this spring, there's going to be water everywhere. But there's lots of pockets of Phragmites that are mostly contained along the county or even township road allowances here and there that are not within wetlands. And I am not against spraying those with Roundup. But I do not think that we should be spraying any pesticides within wetland boundaries, whether it be PSW or environmentally protected zones. Most of them will be far beyond the borders of the county or the township road allowance. They don't stop there. So, first of all, if you spray a little bit on this side of the fence and there's a whole lot on that side of the fence, the way this stuff spreads, it's coming back. You might kill it for a year, but it's going to be ineffective. But it talked about some of the research I read talked about different species that are affected by Phragmites. And I'll just read a few of them here. The horn-greaved king rail, the least bittern, northern bobwhite. It talks about different salamanders and types of turtles that can be affected by Phragmites. And I'm sure that they can. But I think if you talk to these bitterns and terns and salamanders and stuff, I said, would you rather live in an area that has Phragmites or being sprayed with Roundup? They take their chances with a Phragmite. So I think that if we're not doing that already, we should have a policy that we do not spray pesticides or herbicides in environmentally protected zones. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Before I go to Councillor Byrd, I'd like to ask Brian Robinson, do we have a policy right now? Yeah.
Sorry, a policy specific to
Not spraying where there is environmentally protected wetlands.
Oh, sorry, through you, the policy specific to that, we do not have developed. Right now, the county is following the MECP or province's guidelines and best practices for management of Phragmites. That's the grant that was applied for and the process that went through last year, and the activity that took place last fall was specific to that best management practice document. It's not a specific policy for or against it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Byrd.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Thank you very much, Peter, for the information. And I won't go into as much detail as Joe did, but certainly from our township's perspective, Kawartha Land Trust came to us as well. I think they went to every lower tier, and we do have small amounts on our roadways. Most of it is in private land, and our manager of public works highly recommended what you just said, do not spray. So we are digging them out. He has found in a previous life experience of his, digging them out seems to work better. And then, so I reached out to him yesterday and I said, okay, so just to confirm, this is what we're doing. We did budget a little bit of money as they're doing road work to do the digging out. That goes to Bensford. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know, but that's where the fill will go to, and then we monitor from there. I know from my own personal standpoint, we have a couple of pockets on our own farm we've also done that. And then as they come up, you see little pockets of them in a dry season, which worked great last year. We were able to mow that down and before they went to seed. So we'll, again, experimenting a little bit with that. But from our township, we are not spraying, we are digging, and hopefully getting some information and educational material out to our residents who have them on their property. So I just wanted to, give an update on that.
Would I be able to say one more thing?
Well, if you're speaking to what she said, yes.
Kind of.
If not, no.
I'm impressed with these questions. That's the
Yeah.
first thing. I've learned a few things. Mowing is bad because it has rhizomes. It's going to come back thicker than ever. One thing I was told by people that know more than me, do you remember purple loosestrife?
Yep.
It was going to wipe us out. Then they developed a biological that kind of keeps it under control. And they're working on that for this. It's not ready yet, but I don't know if that's the answer. It might be.
Might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just know spraying isn't. Thank you for letting me do that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Graham.
Through you, Chair. Thanks for the presentation. Just to put things in perspective, because it's a good discussion. There's a lot being said. I think obviously if there's a biological or a more natural treatment, then that would be great. But, to Councillor Taylor's comments, I mean, excavation, if you ask the newts and the frogs if they were going to excavate and remove, by the root, the Phragmites, well, that doesn't really help their perspective either. And the reality about Phragmites is that these different strains, and I know they're not all the same, but it's invasive because it deteriorates those wetlands significantly. The wetlands don't exist if that specific or the specific strains of the invasive kind that we're referencing and trying to manage are allowed to run wild. So that's what this whole endeavor is going to, and there can obviously be improvements and we can wait for science. But if we don't take any action, the invasiveness and the issues that we're dealing with will grow exponentially year over year. And all this is doing, there's not 100% efficacy just with all herbicidal applications. There's never 100% efficacy. It's just not a reality. So there's 80 to 90%, I think, is what they are pursuing here. And again, this technologies has been approved by Health Canada. There's many peer-reviewed studies about all of the risks associated with it. It's diluted to less than 1%, which is less than a lot of herbicide applications in the agricultural space that are usually around 2%. So, I mean, we do need to deal in reality, not fear and rumor and, concerns are well and good. But if they allow these Phragmites to continue to grow, those wetlands don't exist. Phragmites take over, and through the tremendous evapotranspiration that these plants occur, that water dries up. So there isn't the mud for the newts and the frogs. There isn't the water there. And that's why there's such an urgency that we're trying to just manage and sort of in essence contain the spread of this, very, invasive strain. So I don't think we can afford or it's practical to try to excavate it everywhere. I think private property owners should be, if that is work and proving worthwhile, that's great. But obviously we can't be doing that in environmentally sensitive areas either. And if you're asking me if we're going to excavate environmentally sensitive areas versus spray a very diluted chemical that's been approved by all of the science involved in the country and for this application, then we should do it. Because you can't just allow it to run unabated and wait for science to catch up with a more natural, less risky solution. I mean, this has been vetted by science. This is, how we can do it forward. Whether or not, I don't think necessarily the individuals making the delegations from Gore the Land Trust or otherwise are necessarily experts, but we obviously have to work with the county representatives who are spraying it to ensure they do it correctly, as would any other second party. So I just want to say that, the intention to protect some of the flora and fauna is a bit disingenuous to just eliminate spraying, because if it's spraying or any other treatment, the just allowing it to run its own course doesn't sustain the existing ecosystem as it is. So, I mean, it's not one or the other in that comparison. It's trying to sustain what exists. And so I hope we wouldn't pursue an environmental policy to prohibit the spraying in the areas where it grows, because those are the areas that need the most protection and are the most susceptible to this invasive plant. So, I understand the concerns, and I think it's all valid and a good discussion. But again, none of us are industry experts in this regard. But it's definitely merits the conversation. And hopefully, as you mentioned, Mr. Leahy, that the science is working on more and better alternatives to this. But in the meantime, we can't just let it run wild. And I don't think excavation across the many acres, hundreds of acres that this exists in the county is reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank you for your presentation. It has garnered some good discussion. I'm looking for someone to receive the presentation. Councillor Martin and Councillor Nelson, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
What is the result? I mean, we've had a discussion, but is there any change, any change of the current practice? Is there what's coming out of this? Anything?
Not at this point in time. We just had a discussion about it. We haven't moved to make any changes as to what we're doing right now.
So would it be appropriate to put forward a motion at this time related to this topic?
It's up to you.
I'd like to put forward a motion that staff bring back a report on the pros and cons of eliminating the spraying on county property, the spraying of herbicides on county property in designated wetlands.
All right. We've got a motion coming forward. Is there someone willing to second that?
Second discussion.
Okay, Councillor Huntley seconding, and yes,
Through you, Chair, I think.
just second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Through you, Chair, I agree with bring back a report for pros and cons, but I think the report would also have to include alternatives. If that makes sense, Jim.
Sure. This is just, let me be clear, this is just on county property.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
All right, so the motion that you're bringing forward, have you got that, Carrie?
That staff bring back a report with the pros and cons on eliminating spraying of herbicides on county property in designated wetland areas and include alternatives.
Okay with that? Mover and seconder? Any other discussion? Councillor Martin?
Wetlands, it's not like you talk about your poison ivy and things like that, like that's county, okay.
Just designated wetlands.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Councillor Nelson?
Through you, Madam Chair, just something maybe the motion might contain is also provincial policies on this as well, that kind of outweigh what we might even, or staff might even be able to do about this. If the province says this is okay to do, and there's no detrimental effect for us spraying, as my colleague Matt said, it's sometimes better to do something than do nothing. And I remember bringing this to our council when I was manager of public works probably 20 years ago, and there was nothing in the county at that time. There was no Phragmites even in the county, and they had best practices on what to do, on how to remove it. And some of that was digging, some of that was cutting below, it drowns it out, cutting below the water level in some cases. And there was lots of stuff to that I think for us to go, why reinvent the wheel when some of that stuff the staff could actually bring back to us. And I'm in favor of the motion. I'm not saying that, but I think some of the best practices have already been looked at by the province and by the experts in this field that maybe should be included in some of the staff's recommendations. That's my thoughts on that. So thank you.
So are you suggesting this is a friendly amendment to the motion?
correct if the first and second would make that friendly motion and make that friendly amendment?
Madam Chair, I don't think it's necessary. I think we're starting to write the report for staff.
Yeah.
I think that staff will advise us as to what the guidelines are, and they're all based on provincial recommendations. So I don't think that's necessary. I tried to keep it as high level as I could, and I'm happy with that.
Okay. All right, and Councillor Graham, you did have your hand up.
Yeah, through you, Chair. I was just going to say there's lots of to Mayor Taylor's point. I mean, this is approved by Health Canada. This is approved. There's many different provincial associations that support this sort of behavior. So, I mean, I don't think it's a necessary amendment.
Thank you. All right. All right, Councillor Black.
Yeah, thank you through Chair. Is the word Phragmites in the motion? Because I think when we talked about other things, poison ivy and so on, is the word Phragmites in there? I
So
think that should be included.
Through the chair, please.
I don't know that it does because it's we're talking about spraying herbicides or pesticides in wetlands. Now, all we're doing right now, I think, is spraying for Phragmites, but it doesn't matter if there was something else. My concern would still apply. So this is Phragmites based, but just the policy would be spraying herbicides or pesticides in wetlands. That's my designated environmentally protected areas. That's my concern.
Yes.
Just a reminder, if you could use your microphones and in order, and please go through the chair and be recognized to speak. And I just wondered if the motion on the floor has a timeline for staff?
It doesn't. I guess through the chair, I would ask staff what's a reasonable length of time to give them to come back with this report.
Staff are suggesting 6 months.
6 months. Could I ask staff, when do we start spraying?
Through the chair, the Phragmites best management practice again for spraying doesn't commence until the fall.
Okay. Okay, so prior to the commencement of the spraying program, I'd be fine with that.
All right, we're all clear on what the motion is. Would you like it read one more time? Carrie.
That staff bring back a report with the pros and cons on the elimination of spraying of herbicides on county property in designated wetlands and include alternatives, and bring it back prior to the commencement of the Phragmites spraying program.
Thank you. All in favor?
Sorry, I'm gonna have to call a recorded vote because that was pretty split.
All right, we're gonna have a recorded vote.
Okay, Councillor Taylor,
Yes.
Councillor Amiot. Sorry, you're
You're
muted.
muted. I think that's a yes.
Yes, sorry. I don't know why it didn't go.
Councillor Burt,
Yes.
Councillor Wilford,
Yes.
Councillor Lambshead,
Yes.
Councillor Whalen,
Yes.
Councillor Nelson,
Yes.
Councillor Martin,
Yes.
Councillor Huntley,
Yes.
Councillor Webb,
Yes.
Councillor Graham,
No.
Deputy Warden Senes,
Yes.
Councillor Black,
Yes.
Councillor Armstrong,
No.
Councillor Watson.
Yes.
Okay, it's passed.
Thank you very much. And thank you again. All right, the clerk has received a request to pull item 8D, correspondence report. So we're going to pull the entire correspondence report from the consent items to be dealt with separately. Does anyone else have anything that they wish to be pulled from the consent items to be discussed? Right, so We will now deal with correspondence item 11, which is the resolution regarding Bell Fiber internet pricing. This was pulled by Councillor Amiot. Would you like to speak to it?
Sure. Thank you. Through you. I trust that everybody had read it. We just had this before us at our council meeting yesterday, and we passed a resolution to support. If you take a look at the pricing in there, it's a little bit crazy, to say the least. So just wanting county council to consider supporting the resolution.
All right, so you're moving that?
Yes, please.
Is there a seconder? Councillor, Martin? All in favor? That's carried, thank you. And we need a motion to receive the balance of the correspondence report. Moved by Councillor Armstrong, seconded by Councillor Black. All in favor? That is carried. And a motion to receive the remaining consent items on the agenda. Councillor Graham and Councillor Amiot, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Does any member of council have a notice of motion to be put on the floor? Seeing none. Does anyone have any announcements to be made? Councillor Burt.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Just notice that on Sunday is the International Women's Day event, and we are having one in the village of Norwood at our community center from 1 until 3. Yes, it's usually at the thank you. It's at the town hall this year. The community center is being used from 1 until 3, and there are 3 different speakers. So you're welcome to come out to that. And also the Eastern Ontario Farm Show is on today until 9 p.m. and tomorrow from, I believe, 9:30 till 4 at the Lindsay Fairgrounds. If anybody's interested in the local agricultural scene, that is on today and tomorrow. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Seeing none, we will now move into closed. It's under authority of the Municipal Act under section 239(2) and 239(2)B and 239(2)D. I need a motion to go into closed. Councillor Huntley, seconded by Councillor Watson, all in favor?